Welcome back. It's a new year, and I'm fully committed to going all in on my personal brand while growing my business. And in this video, I'm going to share exactly with you how I plan to do that. So if you need ideas on developing your personal brand alongside growing your business in 2025, this video is for you. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to share the exact ChatGPT prompts and responses I use to help lay the foundation for how I plan to build out my personal brand. So if you're new to the channel, I'm Quintel Harcum. I founded Good Part and Company, a plant-based health cafe and juice bar located in Baltimore, Maryland. Within the first year opening my business, I secured a first of its kind deal with Johns Hopkins to partner with them to become not only their first Black-owned food vendor, but to help launch their wellness curriculum and health cafe for the students on their campus. I recently launched Green Book Digital, which is a marketing agency that focuses on building digital products like lead magnets for health and wellness founders so that they can convert more clients into their business. Last year, I exited my partnership with Johns Hopkins University as the wellness partner and the operator of the cafe in their juice bar. And since then, I decided not to relocate the business, but I wanted to have a business that was more on my own terms, where I had more flexibility, where I could use a lot of the skills that I developed over time prior to having Good Part and Company and since having Good Part and Company. And I wanted that business to be online. I didn't want it to be attached to any brick and mortar business just yet. I didn't want to restart that. I had some opportunities to partner, and I decided with other people, and I decided I'm not going to go that route. I don't want to be fixed to one location, and I don't want to have to fight all of those capex expenses and all that type of stuff. So I thought health coaching would be the best move for me. And because it was a natural extension of my personal brand, everybody knew me as the juice guy, as the healthy guy, as the plant-based guy that has a cafe, a lot of credibility there. I'm a holistic, certified holistic nutritionist, and just going in that direction made so much sense. And to be honest, I actually started doing the coaching before I even, along with Good Part and Company, because I would actually just consult some people coming into the cafe. I can do actual consultations, food plans, and just give, ideas on recipes or whatever it is that customers may need. Some of those customers became clients. I started to turn it up. I started to build different little courses, different little free trainings, take on some people to coach them through their health and their wellness while they either have a kind of high demand like day job, high demand profession, or some other early stage entrepreneurs that's trying to balance their life and their health along with starting their business, or people who were just like me who were actually transitioning from having a full-time job or having a full-time job at the same time as having a full-time business. So I was like, you know what, that's a good niche to work with people. It may not be a great niche, but it is definitely a big enough niche where I can serve people and really, kind of just use my skills and knowledge. But what I found is that coaching wasn't for the kid. I'm not that attached to the outcome, to be that honest. Not that I don't want to see people improve their health and do great, but the means of going about it is a lot different from how I'm used to communicating and how I'm actually used to working. So I have no problem working with people one-on-one or virtually or doing meetings and things like that, but it just didn't seem to be a great fit for my personality and for the impact that I wanted to make. I didn't really like having to work one client at a time, or even if I had groups of clients at a time, and doing like our group sessions and things like that. And basically, it was B2C, right? It was direct to consumer. And my biggest partnership, my biggest experience was B2B, working directly with Johns Hopkins. And I was like, wait, that is a much higher leverage business opportunity. I know how to navigate that space. I worked in corporate America for a long time, sending these messages, building proposals, all of the things you have to do to communicate well at a corporate level. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to package up the skills that I use the most, that I like: graphic design, copywriting, marketing, branding. I got more questions around branding than I did for actual health advice and making and going and transition into a plant-based diet. I got way more questions, comments, replies, remarks, some praise here, some advice there on branding. And I was like, well, that is something that I enjoy a lot more. I always was into branding, marketing, messaging, aesthetics, and putting all those things together. So all of the assets that I had, all of the tools that I used to build out food and beverage, some of those tools apply directly to any other business. But I had to get focused and figure out how I'm really going to help other businesses. And so that's what I did. So I pivoted to doing marketing and branding, and I got a lot of feedback on it. I went out and got a lot of feedback. I didn't just get people saying, hey, do this, and oh yeah, you're great, and this is going to be all good. No, I had to take some lumps And I'm giving you all this background so that you can understand how it helped me develop my personal brand and guided me into my business. Because right now, you probably feel like you know where you want to go, but you don't know exactly how to get there. And you know for sure what kind of person you are, who you are, what you believe to be your personal brand. But how do you go about expressing that? How can you find the best way to leverage that to build the life that you want? And so I'm giving you this background so that you can understand that I went through those same things, and I'm just expressing it here so you can have an understanding of how someone else may go through their stream of consciousness to get to establishing their personal brand alongside their B2B business, right? Or any kind of business that you might be building. I pivoted into doing branding and marketing. So the first place I pivoted to was food and beverage. I know a bunch of other restaurateurs, restaurant owners, food groups. I hit them up. I asked them what kind of help they need, what kind of services they need, and how much they'd be willing. I gave them a whole survey, man. I know now, don't launch a business unless you actually solving the problem. That's what business is. Business is problem solving. And the best businesses are problem solving machines. I got that from David Finber from the Founders Podcast. That's one of my favorite podcasts. You should check it out. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm hitting up all these restaurateurs. I'm like, yo, how you making out with branding, with marketing? Some people are doing really good. Some people who are really extroverted. One of my good buddies, like they got their joint is blowing up, not just because the food is good, but because their branding is great. Great design. He has great taste, and they're doing their thing. Another one of my friends is doing really good because he just has a prime location, soul food, super popular here in Baltimore. Another one of my friends just opened a new cafe, so I hit him up and asked him what he thought, what he had going on. And everybody has different ranges of expertise, but one thing people need help with was like operations, setting up things on the back end, and everybody needs help with marketing. But the problem I found pivoting to that space is that the same problem I had with my juice bar. Yeah, I was eventually cash flowing and probably doing way better than a lot of independently owned juice bars, but the margins in food and beverage are super slim. And I'm not here to live a slim lifestyle. Even people who are really successful in food and beverage, because once you're in the game, you got to study the best. You have to have like multiple restaurants and probably multiple businesses, or you're going to be working in that business all the time for a long time. And so I thought, well, if me in this current state in Quintel in 2024 was pitching this offer to Quintel in 2023 at the height and peak of $1,000 days, thousands of smoothies getting served, would I pay for this service? And actually, I did. I did pay for the service. I outsourced it to someone else because I already had a great understanding of marketing and design. They didn't have such a heavy lift. They just had to take what I gave them, put it on autopilot, and kind of create the content, do the graphics, things like that. So I did pay the service, but I thought about how I felt when I was paying for the service, and because I was making a little bit of money, I looked back and I was like, I don't think I really want to keep paying that. So honestly, I stopped paying it and I wouldn't continue to pay it. And so when I was calling around to all of my other restaurant friends, I realized that they weren't really trying to pay that. Not just my friends, but restaurateurs, people who own cafes, restaurants, small restaurants, bistros, delis, things like that. They're not really trying to pay for that. They can only afford a couple $100 a month, and that's not the kind of business I was trying to build. And not that anything's wrong with that, but it wasn't really the service that I was offering. And so I wouldn't be able to serve them at the highest level, and they wouldn't be able to pay me at the rate that's going to get them the most impact. Because if you have to hustle up for things downstream, it's just going to be a lot harder. People are a lot pickier, and you can't get the best service because you got to fight back and forth for money. It's just a lot of downside to it that I wasn't really trying to get into because I have enough experience to know how things work. So that doesn't mean I was going the wrong direction. I knew that my insight and my ability to create in marketing and branding was definitely something I could do. And so I just started to put together different offers, again, do more research, do more outreach, find out what people really needed, and I finally landed on, what would become Green Book Digital. And so that's been getting good feedback. I've been getting booked to do some panels around health and wellness and doing some market research, doing some content. I landed my first client, and they have a mental health clinic. So I'm still in the health space, like I thought. I understand that there's a niche there, and it's still tied in again with my personal brand because just personally, I want to help people live a higher quality of life, starting from the inside out. But I don't want to have to do it 1-to-1 or 1 to as many as I can possibly manage with like a group consultation or something. But if I can go and elevate a bunch of other businesses in the health and wellness space that service a lot of other people, that means my impact reaches father. And that's really real. Like, that's how I think about it. Like, yes, I will be rewarded monetarily or financially at some point, but the actual impact, right? It goes, it's way more vast, way more impact, and that's what I like. I want to have more impact and help people as much as I can. So instead of me sitting somebody down and saying, "Hey, here's a nutrition plan," that's not me at my most effective, right? There's another nutritionist, another doctor, another esthetician, another clinic or service provider, right? Another hormone therapist, right? Somebody else in the health and wellness space. They already have clientele, right? They already have a lot of customers. They need to get more customers. They need to over deliver on the customers that they have, right? They need to attract and convert more customers, and they already got the platform. They have high level skills. I'm coming in to help them express those skills, that service, the benefit of what they do more. And that is more impact, because every customer that they help, from the marketing and the content and the lead magnets and the digital products I build, that's another customer that I help with my skill set to help them elevate their skill set. So that's where I'm at, and that's how I landed on what my business would be. And the offer is going to get refined, it's going to elevate, it's going to change, and I'm fine with that, because I know that I'm actually using my skills the right way, in a way that I feel comfortable, a way that I feel good, a way that challenges me enough to keep going, to try harder and really figure things out. And that's a part of developing, like, personally, right? So you have to figure out, you have to challenge yourself, and you have to grow. If you don't challenge yourself, you're not going to grow. You're going to stay the same. You're going to be in your comfort zone, and you wonder why everything in your life stays the same. That's not what we're trying to be. That's not the space we're trying to navigate. So right now, I'm going to give you a quick list of the things that help me kind of really figure out and stay locked in on myself, even though I wasn't having the greatest year in 2024. So boom, here's an actual list. I'm gonna just go through these things one by one. I was gonna spit it off top, but I'm gonna just actually show you the insights, like all the things that I just be getting myself into working from home. And I've worked from home before with the government, and on the days that I didn't have to go in my cafe, I was still home on my computer. I'm very comfortable on my laptop, digging in, getting busy, typing all the things. So here's what happened. This is not in any particular order. I learned about Ikigai, right? So Ikigai is, I probably have a document here. Let's go through it. You know what I'm saying? I'm really here to try to show you everything that I learned to help build my personal brand, so that I can leverage that into my business. So I'm showing everything. I ain't holding back nothing. So I download a lot of resources, a lot of lead magnets. I pay for online courses. I'm not scared to invest in my personal development. So I found out what Ikigai was, because, like I said, I was trying to figure out what my next best move was. What's my next business? And Ikigai is a Japanese principle of finding out what your true purpose is. And you align, it's a big Venn diagram, as you can see, and you align what you're good at with what you love, with what the world needs, and then what you can be paid for, right? So a lot of times we may just hear, like, what are you good at, what do you like, and what are people willing to pay for, right? But some people may be willing to pay for something that they don't need, right? So if you got something that people that's willing to pay for, and people don't need, it's just, you're not going to get as many customers, right? So Matt Gray, who is has a lot of leverage online. He's big on LinkedIn, big on Twitter. He owns some kind of cannabis company, some stuff going on in Canada, and now he has Founders OS, where he help other founders build their content with. So I'm going through Matt's courses and products and stuff like that. So I bought one of his courses and signed up to his newsletter. I always signed up to newsletters for things, and he dropped this. This was helpful, and I tried to just, like, fill out this Ikigai Venn diagram as much as possible. You probably won't. Matt probably has this available through some of his content somewhere. But if you just shoot me a message and you want to get, like, a copy of this, I think I have an empty copy of it, or maybe some kind of slides or something. Let's see. I just showed you guys my resources. I'm really here to share. Let's see. Do I have it? Yeah. So here's his lesson on Ikigai. Now, this is for him to disperse, but, if you want to just talk about it, here's how he broke it down, and here is, like, a clean diagram. So I use the Ikigai to help me figure out what my purpose is, or at least get directionally correct. Am I going in the right direction? I know that personally, what I'm good at is understand matching aesthetics and copy, right? So, like, you can have really good copy and not so good visuals, which is where you get, like, people that excel on text-based platforms, right? Or authors or writers, right? They don't it's not about the visual, it's about the words. But nowadays, with things like TikTok and Instagram being so popular, you have people that have really good visuals, and it's not so much focused on like the copy. So then you have people who have big followings and they can't convert an audience because they don't really know how to move them with words. They don't think and they don't use like biopsychology or anything, and they don't really have a product to offer. So I'm like, well, I've always been decent with both. I have a degree in philosophy, so I'm thinking about it strategically, and I spent a lot of time writing. One of my first hustles was typing homework in college, so I'm writing all the time. But then I learned graphic design. So these are things that I'm pretty decent at, okay? And I can always get better, so I'm always looking to do better at that. What do I love? I love branding. I love really good things. And everybody says that, but I do. I really love branding. People that execute well on brand is not just about a logo and the colors and things like that, but like the stories that's being told and the marketing around that and visually how all those things look. And I love the way tech is infused with a lot of these things, not just AI, but just being able to use a computer and leverage the internet for all the things. So I really love that. I love health and wellness, right? I'm certified in holistic nutrition, and that's just a natural part of one of my interests. So I'm thinking like, well, so those are some of the things I love. I probably want to stay in that field because I know that I'm making a impact on somebody's health and their quality of life in that sense. Of course, the world needs more health, but it's devalued a lot, especially in America and the Western society. Like we just still eat a lot of crap food and things like that. So the world does need health, and you have to be able to communicate that to them in a way that helps them understand it, makes it more of a painkiller for them, not just a nice to have when it comes to like eating food, right? And then what can I be paid for? So I could have been paid to make juices. I could have been paid to make smoothies. I could be paid to be a doctor. I don't have skills to be a doctor. Well, I could be paid to create some stuff. And I like, oh, okay, now we're starting to figure this out. What are the things that I can create? And so that sent me on my path. So now I have a better understanding for what my next business is. Now, where does my personal brand fit in with all that? Let's get into some other things I learned in 2024 to help me start to flesh all these things out. So I learned about My First Million podcast. So that is the podcast with Sam Parr and Sean Perry. So it started popping up in my feed. Just this one episode. Back then they were doing like these thumbnails that always had Sean's face real big and with some kind of graphic of him doing some stuff. And it was like this one where he was like dressed like a teacher or professor in some chalkboard, whatever it is. But I was like, in some clickbaity title about making $1 million, whatever. So, and they'll admit like they've been changing their thumbnails. But anyway, My First Million is great because I was already familiar with The Hustle, which was Sam Parr's newsletter. And I was familiar with some of the work that Sean did just by understanding what being in tech and him working with Amazon through Twitch and all that. I didn't know that was him, but that's what he actually did. So I thought it was great because I'm already into the tech. I understand tech. I like tech. But both of these guys had huge newsletters. I was already subscribed to The Hustle. And this was probably before. Yeah, I was subscribed to The Hustle before Sam actually sold the HubSpot. So like now I'm starting to hear about these background stories. And this is really inspiring to me. Both of these guys are smart. I like Sam's work ethic. I like Sean's storytelling. They both are good copywriters, and I'm like, you know what? I like the skills that these guys have. I like how they express themselves, and I like the guests that they have on the pod. And I love business. Like I just love business. Like that's one of the things I love. I didn't say in the Ikigai, but I love the dynamics of business building, and not even in the sense like just making the most money, but just when you build a business, you create something into the world that wasn't there, and oftentimes those businesses are helping the rest of the world, or they should be. So by association, I found out about Marketing Against the Grain, another HubSpot podcast property, Founders Pod with David Finra that I mentioned, and the Acquired Podcast. So like all these guys are kind of in the same circles because they're all founders. They're all heavy into just doing well in business, and they're all kind of geeked up in the business world, and so am I. And so this is absolutely my lane. I was already a big fan of Earn Your Leisure, so I was already following them, and so it's just a different perspective on the whole business entrepreneurship vibe. Then I got email marketing certified with HubSpot because I wanted to start doing better with my newsletter and offering newsletter services to other people. So I had the opportunity to do that. Through that, I found out about Greg Eisenberg's podcast, the Startup Ideas podcast, because I was like, well, I got all this time. Maybe I can do like some kind of tech startup of sorts. Like it's not just about doing tech stuff. And then also I was trying to help with health services over for people who sit at their desk all day, which is some tech guys, and they're well funded, so they can afford it. But found out about Greg. He's really smart, and so I like his podcast, and I like the way he writes a lot. So these things gave me some inspiration, and you always should be finding sources of inspiration and spending your time. And they talk about the five, your average of the five people you spend, the five people closest to you is really about the five people or the people you spend the most time with. So outside of my direct family, I spend most of my time. These people are who I hear and who I listen to, and so they are far more like where I want to be, and so this is who I'm spending my time with. Along with that, my man Brandon Carter from the Victory Unit podcast, and then Daniel Priestley, right? So I was in Daniel Priestley's Key Person to Influence Accelerator a couple years ago when I was doing my cafe because I wanted to become a key person to influence in the whole plant-based nutrition health space. So I'm still following, all these guys and all these people are helping me just at least keep my mind in the business game. I can't figure out what I'm going to do, but they're giving me the insight, they're giving me the inspiration really, and just like the biggest thing I really learned, and I can freestyle all this, and I'm glad because this is really real. They repeat themselves all the time. So they always talk about their same principles, their same frameworks, their same. Sam and Sean talk about storytelling and copyright, and then HubSpot goes and create a PDF based off of how Sam and Sean tell stories. My man Brandon Carter always breaking down. You gotta schedule your whole calendar. Just use Google Apps. Keep it simple. Use Google Calendar rather, and put your life in your calendar. If it's not in your calendar, you probably ain't gonna get it done. And then from there, you still might not even get it done. Be able to move things around. I love to see when my man Brandon got into Notion because I was always like into Notion, nerding out in tech stuff, but he uses Notion, so he builds these Notion templates and all that type of jazz. Daniel Priestley still pushing the same message, key person to influence, pitching the 5 Ps. These are things that I learned in the accelerator. The accelerator is great, and I'm a part of a exclusive group for other people who are in key person to influence. So that was beautiful. A book that I read last year from Shane Parrish is called Clear Thinking, and here's the thing. Shane Parrish has a blog called Farnham Street Blog. Learned about that from Naval Ravikant. That was a couple years ago. Been on Farnham Street. I didn't know Shane had a podcast. Then I found out Shane had a podcast. From there, I learned about his book, bought his book, Clear Thinking. That's what I needed because I needed to figure out what my business is going to be. And all of this, walk with me now, I'm getting there, it's all still tied back to my personal brand. Because I'm developing as a person at such a fast rate, I was losing the track of like what my personal brand was. Also, I spent so much time behind the counter, man. I didn't know what my personal brand was. Like, I mean, not that everybody sit around think about their personal brand, like trying to show something off, but really, I really am the juice guy. Like, I just got to show up for my staff. I got to show up to fill my obligations in this partnership. And basically, Johns Hopkins brand is way bigger than Good Part and Company. So it started to really overshadow the brand of the business because everybody think if I'm part of Johns Hopkins, I'm just doing great. And like, it wasn't all bad, but I wasn't able to start to maneuver the brand the way I wanted to. And I'll share, you can go back in the timeline. I tell stories about how and why I left the partnership, and I'll talk about it more and more as I just kind of learn more things about myself. But anyway, Clear Thinking, that really helped. Now, I was still lost on the finance work tip, right? Because I saved up some finances, but using those finances to make it through this time where I don't have like a full-time job. And, I'm blessed to have people that support me in that. And so I'm able to just kind of continue to move through and put this thing together. Now, what really helped me do it though, because I at least had time, I'm not going to sit around and waste no time. I've never been that kind of person. If I can't get to the money, I'm going to do something to make me better so that when it's time to get to the money, I'm well positioned. So, and I'm in health, I'm going to keep taking care of my body. Years and years ago, I ran a half marathon. I wanted to run a full marathon, and I never really had the time because when you got a full business, if you ain't got that thing like working like clicking like a machine, you ain't gonna have time to train. So I never did it. But now I had time, so I decided to train and run my first full marathon. And that fitness routine of having to get up and go run gave me that rhythm to just like keep chipping away. Like, yo, you're gonna figure this thing out. So every time I would go run, I would have on one of these podcasts, or I just might just listen to nation and just run, do my miles, get that time in on my feet. And I started to just list down the ideas that I had from all of the podcasts, and I might be off some pre-workout or some caffeine, so like things is really flowing. And it was a stretch, which I don't recommend, but it was a stretch for like 5 to 6 weeks where I had a new great business. Everybody, all entrepreneurs, that's really like good. A lot of times they have great ideas all the time, but it's really about digging in on one and figuring out which ones work best, and then just keep doing that. right? So for like 5 weeks straight, I was trying all these different ideas, just throwing that stuff against the wall to see what stick. And luckily, it was only 5 to 6 weeks, and I didn't. It wasn't 10 weeks, right? Because you really got to figure out the thing that worked. You got to put in some time. So I was getting a little bit distracted, but the moral of that story is, personally, I stuck to what is really true and authentic to me, which is managing my health and staying active and working out and things like that. And so running, I still got to work out. I still got to train. I still got to stretch. I still got to recover. All that gave me structure for somebody who didn't have anything specific to do all day other than try to build a business, right? And then it allowed me to keep going, because when you don't get feedback, you need fast feedback loops to improve and get better and move forward faster. The faster you fail, the closer you are to succeeding, right? And so when you're not getting feedback and you're trying to build a business, you're not getting enough feedback to know if you're going in the right direction or if you're doing the right thing. But my mind still had the feedback. I still had to checking off things on my list for as far as like taking care of myself and sticking to the script of training for a marathon. So that helped. That was my 2024. So I did a lot more writing than I did graphic design. I spent some time building some landing pages, some websites for a few clients, right? Just digging into digital assets, seeing what I could do. I knew I didn't want to be a web developer. As much as I like design, I'm not trying to sit and go and fight that learning curve. I know enough to make something decent, but that's not what I'm trying to get paid for, and I'm not trying to pitch that. I wouldn't pitch that with confidence. So I got more into writing. I invested in some copywriting courses. Copywriting course by Neville Madura. So found out about Neville through Sam, because that's one of his best friends. He's a great copywriter. Learned a bunch of resources and books and stuff like that from him. And then from there, like some other courses from other copywriters online. Signed up for Beehive, launched a newsletter. Thought I was going to start a newsletter business. The only problem with that is I was being too impatient, and you have to start doing numbers, right? And I was like, I ain't had no 90-day outlook. I was trying to I need people to start signing up. So I had a bit of a good newsletter and a following, an email list from my health coaching. I for sure had a good email list from my juice bar, but those people and then what I was offering in the email list didn't really go together. So I wasn't able to leverage that as well. But having Beehive, I learned a lot and got myself trained and did a lot learning how to use some of the automations in Beehive and all that type of setup, adding value to my skill set, because that would be helpful down the line for me to help other businesses. Again, you can see here on my list, I prefer B2B model versus B2C for now, because one, you're working with other businesses have budgets, right? Let's just keep it real practical. You're more likely to get paid. You don't have to fight for so much money. It don't mean businesses have a whole lot of money, but at least they have a budget. But honestly, it's just the way I'm used to communicating. Like, I'm not used to communicating to have to get dollars out of an individual's pocket. I can very clearly talk about what the return of investment would be for a business to do this thing, because businesses are always thinking about their bottom line, and I operate in that space, and I want to help them improve that bottom line. And so that's my thing. And so I'm like, yo, business to business is for me. Now, if you are a business owner or a business founder, then we already relate, and that's the place where I'm trying to make my connections. Hey, so I recently had a conversation with a mentor of mine, and I told him about how much I feel like I've been underperforming since closing my last business, Good Part & Company. I told him what my goals were now and what I was trying to start and what kind of business I was trying to get into. And he reminded me of something that I learned from Shane Parrish in his blog. And Shane says, if you have trouble getting started, then shorten the distance between where you are and where you focus, right? Keep the same goal, but change the focus to the very next step. And sometimes you just got to break things down and focus on smaller things that you can get done. And that quote, that sparked the idea of how I can better help founders out there make smaller, faster improvements to their marketing and their branding. Because I remember when I had my business, and for a lot of other smaller, medium-sized businesses, you don't really have in-house marketers or a whole marketing department for that matter. But that does not negate the fact that you need to have a marketing and a branding strategy. So I created the digital direction blueprint because it's something that I wish I had when I had Good Part & Company. I wish I had more direction, more focus, and not just shooting things to see what sticks, right? This blueprint is high value because it's a one-on-one personal session with me, but it's affordable, it's practical, and it's powerful enough for a business owner to implement themselves or delegate it to somebody on their team if you have one, with the confidence of knowing that you're going to be going in the right direction to market your business and convert more clients. If you want to book a 60-minute session with me to audit your platform and your strategy, build out a more effective customized strategy, and then get a list of all of the next steps and the tools you can use to execute on that strategy, then reserve your spot now for the Digital Direction Blueprint session. The link is in the description. And since I'm conducting each one of these blueprint strategy sessions live with you, that means it's a limited amount of time because it's a limited amount of me. So if you want to hop on, you want to get a blueprint, you want to know what's the very next step you can take to make those right moves to get more clients, book your spot now. All right, back to the episode. All right, so now let's get into the whole personal brand of it, right? We hear about it a lot. It's a on-trend, buzzword type of thing. It has never went anywhere. I learned a lot about it, really understanding it through Daniel Priestley. You can just look up any podcast he's on. He's talking about it because people like people. And so people are far more likely to follow or invest in or to support people than they are just big faceless organizations. Right, and then like the big faceless organizations, even more, they still invest or do collaborations and partnerships with huge personal brands because you can leverage a personal brand far better than just the business in most cases. Okay, and so I was like, well, it kind of doesn't matter what my business is. If I can always present myself a certain way, a way that's true to me but resonates with whoever else out there resonates with the kid, then I can always have a business. So I'm going to lean in on that because right now I am deleveraged because I just let so much of myself go into the partnership I had with Johns Hopkins. So what am I going to do? Like a lot of other creatives and entrepreneurs, you have all types of ideas. I committed to one thing. I know I'm going to do business to business. I know I need to be in a space where I'm creative, and I'm probably going to be creating marketing assets, digital assets, because I'm real heavy on leveraging the internet to make money and to help people. And so I committed that doing B2B, one, I have a really good testimonial, if you will, or real expertise. Not a lot of people work with Johns Hopkins in the capacity that I did. Can't take that away from me. And I can show everything I did, the $720,000+ we did in revenue and recapture revenue from students' meal plans and all of the courses that we did. All that, I got it on lock right here on the hard drive. That kind of gave me more confidence. Now I know where I'm going, right? So I said, well, your biggest network, your first network is your family. Then it's your friends, and then it's the associates you have. So in your phone, you're likely to have you should have people in your phone who are productive, who can help you out. And so I'm like, well, who can I go help in my phone? Like, all right, this is what my business is. And I remember back, before I closed Good Part and Company, somebody came and asked me would I help them do a certain type of marketing for their business. And I told them, I'm pursuing this health coaching thing, but if I get back in the game, I will hit you up. I'm going to tell a quick story, super quick. I had to talk with my friend one day. He and I have a common friend. The first friend was kind of struggling with his business. I told him, why don't you call I asked him a very specific question. Who in your phone got money? That's the way I speak. Who in your phone got money? And he was like, well, I already know. We had a mutual friend who I know got money, who could actually use my original friend's services. They know each other, have great respect for one another. They might even call themselves friends. Like, we all real homies, right? But I'm friends with both of them. I'm like, why don't you call him? Tell him what you got on deck and how you can help him. And while you sitting here figuring out what's going on with your business, you can make some extra money helping him in the business he already got that's flourishing, right? So I followed my own advice. I went and I said, who in my phone got money? Who can I help? And sure enough, started going through my phone, and I landed my first client for Green Book Digital. So I landed my first client in Green Book Digital, and that helped me start to really, first I gained some confidence because, again, working with other businesses, they have a budget. I can start getting paid a couple dollars, and on top of that, it started to help me really understand who else can I go help, because now I have more proof of concept working for this company. Other companies like this, I can help you with the same thing I'm helping them with, right? Now we putting one foot in front of the other. And I figured out where can I find more people who would like this offer. And that really helped me think, I'm going to invest more in LinkedIn. I always felt like I should have been on LinkedIn more, especially when I decided I was going to try to help more professionals with their health because they're sitting at the desk all day. But I couldn't really figure out how to navigate the platform. It was looking real dry, real phony. It's not attractive, but it is very effective. So So I'm gonna go over on LinkedIn. That's what I'm gonna start uh, developing my offer, making more connections, and studying this thing and seeing where it's at. And I'm still early in the game, but you can find me over on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn link is in the description. Going over there, like, you don't have a lot of followers. I don't believe in sunk cost or suffering from sunk cost bias. So most of my following is over on Instagram between my personal page and Good Part and Company. So 10,000 followers is not a lot, but between those two pages, I'm close to 10,000. So I can always like drop something or do something, and I'm gonna get a little sale here and there. But I'm like, I'm not messing with that Instagram in that way because that doesn't work as well for the business I'm trying to build. LinkedIn is where it's at for me, and so I'm willing to start from scratch, 100 something followers on Instagram, on LinkedIn, compared to more than 10 times that on IG. I'm not going to chase over there. I'm going to go over here and reestablish myself. And that's where we really get into the personal branding thing, because I started to find out or figure out that you can still be yourself and not be as stiff as the platform seems over on LinkedIn, especially if you know how to write and how it's more friendly to photos and video, which a lot of people don't know, but you can do short form video on LinkedIn as well. So I was testing some videos and things like that back and forth between LinkedIn and Instagram and seeing like what got more traction here and there, and figuring all that stuff out. So I started posting more, I started getting more feedback, I started investing more time into the platform, and I like what I got over on LinkedIn. So that's when all of the copywriting courses started to kick in, because now some of the frameworks that I learned, and some of the ways to go about writing and writing hooks, and some kind of more direct copywriting, marketing, sales, some of the books that I read, the Boron letters and copywriting course and David Ogilvy, all these things start kicking in, and I'm starting to see, because I'm writing more, because people read more. So like, I'm more of a reader. So people, I can relate more and produce more for people who like to read. So that's where we at. And then in December, now my man said this like 2-3 times last year, going back to MFM, my man Sean Perry, he says, the best products are just you pushed out. And I love that quote. I need to find that quote. The best product is you pushed out. And so Sean is all in on doing content. He loves doing his blog. He turned things up on doing his newsletter. So he's dropping like twice a week on that. And so that really resonated with me. I was like, I need to protect me as an asset and be the product, and that's the whole personal brand of it all. And so I was like, yeah, I want to build Green Book Digital, and for some reason, I'm more introverted than not. So the idea of being in the background and like having the business and nobody know that I'm running this business and I'm getting money on the low and this, that, and the third, like, that's super appealing to me and all that. But I ain't scared to get my hands dirty, get on the front lines, and be forward facing, because I built businesses, like not just Good Part. I built another business where I was in the background. I saw how naked it left me, and so I had to get thick skin, grow, and move forward. And so with Good Part, I had to get out there and sell it, because I lived it. I believed in it. It wasn't nothing. I didn't have to hide nothing. I didn't have to be on the low about being healthy. I was proud of it. I was proud to help other people, and I was going to stand behind that. I didn't have to dim my light to just because I opened a business, because I actually had a friend say something to me about like one of my businesses once before, and you may have encountered this too. If you got some motion and you're doing your thing out there, whatever it may be, and somebody say, well, you think you got it going on because you're doing this, that, and the third. And somebody said that to me before. And I said, I ain't never again going to let nobody think that I'm supposed to be less of who I am because you don't do nothing. That's on you, bro. I can't help you with that. But I'm going to keep helping the people I can, and I'm going to stand behind it. I don't need to dim that down. I don't need to push myself in and hold myself back. So the whole point of me saying that is, I'm going to continue to push myself out, right, and be my best product. And I can build, and I really looked at all the brands I like the most, and they all have a founder. It's all founder-led brands. Like I like Apple. I like Steve Jobs. I like the products that Elon Musk make. I can't say if I like Elon Musk as much or not, but I like what he does. And all of these guys I just broke down for you: Brandon Carter, Daniel Priestley, Greg Eisenberg, Sean and Sam. Like, I like what they do because I like those people. Uh, Even down to like the clothes I wear now. A lot of times, like, to support like smaller independent brands, right? Not the bigger brands like, say, the Gap or whatever you might find in a department store. Fear God. I know Jerry Lorenzo's story. I like that type of stuff. My man Chris from Black Stop in Webster. they make loafers, right? We know who that is. People big fans of like Kith or ALD, I made Leon Dore. Like we know Teddy Santis, we know who Ronnie Fike is. So these are like some of the brands that I like, and we know who the people Nego, Pharrell. These people have businesses, but we know the founder more. I'm like, if I want to model their success, I can't be afraid to really put myself out there. And that's what this whole 2025 campaign of investing in my personal brand and you investing in your personal brand is about. I needed to do some kind of thought exercise on how I can best express my personal brand because I tried it before. And I thought, and when you're doing it on, like I had a blog years ago, and then also when you're on Instagram, you just get caught up in the visuals of it all. What my fit gonna look like. Like I don't think I have a problem with like clothes, but I'm also at a different stage in life. Like I'm no longer behind the counter every day. Now I gotta actually wear clothes when I go outside, and that looks different when you're showing up on camera. So now I'm thinking about like, what are the things that I wear? What do I like? What fit? What's age appropriate? I'm actually in shape. So like, how is it all working out? As like I wasn't really able to really put it together. But what I am able to put together are writing prompts, right? So I'm not a professional prompt engineer. Well, in my mind, I probably am, but that's not what I get paid for. But I put together a prompt, right? So here's the prompt, and this is original. This is a prompt on how to create other prompts for ChatGPT. So basically, you just tell it what you want, and then it'll build a prompt or persona for you. And so I used this to build a personal brand expert persona. And what that did was gave me a persona to really ask. I used that persona to coach me through figuring out how I'm going to develop a personal brand, my personal brand, and alongside my business. And this is the money. This is the money moment right now. If you want those questions that I got back from, because really I want to save you the time. Yeah, it's fun to go on ChatGPT and type in the prompt and get back these answers and all this types of stuff, and that's fun. But sometimes I can lean on it a little too much, or some people can just get tied up and having fun with it. So instead of having you go use this prompt to build another prompt to go and get all these questions, I just put together all of the questions in a personal brand development playbook, and the link is in the description. You don't have to sign up. It don't even require your email. I just asked for the gentleman's code. Give me a quick like or subscribe, right? And you just click it, and it's the exact questions. And these questions are designed to get a personal response, but these questions can apply to any person. And what I love through the prompt that I made, that it broke it down. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show y'all real love right now. Here are the personal brand assessment questions. So it's a Google Doc. The link is in the description. But here are all the questions. And what I love is that it broke it down by section, because I was real precise with the prompt. So it broke it down by section. My personal interest are, my audience, who my business offer, the things I actually like, my profession, the platforms I use, my content style, my long-term vision, all of these things. And you answer all those questions. You give your responses back to the AI, your AI of choice, and voila. It's going to start giving you a breakdown of like how you can how you can develop your personal brand, one, and incorporate that into your business naturally. Because I was thinking, I'm marketing, I'm doing some marketing stuff, or I'm trying to help people with build. I'm not really trying to be a social media manager, but that's a part of it. But also I'm not just talking about Instagram and how to do videos and how to do this. I'm really good at strategy. I can take you from step A to 90 in 90 days or 5 years. Like, I understand how to think with maybe not a bird's eye view, right? But just a little bit closer, but a little further out. And I'm really good with strategy and how to apply the right tactics, because first comes principles. That's the foundation. Then it's the strategy you use to maneuver around in business, your competition, and then the tactics you actually apply. See, people get caught up on tactics. Tactics can change. Strategies don't change as often. Principles never change, right? That's the way the world works. So me letting the AI agent know that helped me understand a lot more about myself and how I can apply that to my business and also to my own personal brand. So here's what we came up with, right? I'm going to share what my actual plan is, right? Because I just said that's the title of this video. I'm leaning in on YouTube, LinkedIn, and my newsletter. So like I told you, I signed up for Beehive. I'm going to be dropping more newsletters, and I use it as just an email marketing platform, but I'm going to be dropping actual newsletters. And now that I'm getting better and more clear on what my offer is and what value I can bring through the newsletter, then I'll be writing more newsletters. LinkedIn, I'm posting every day for the first 90 days of the year to really get the best feedback on what types of posts work, and to also keep my timeline hot for all the networking that I'm trying to do over there. And then YouTube, as you can see, I'm here on YouTube. YouTube and LinkedIn go together great because they both a version of, they attract people who have better attention spans, right? So you can like do longer form content on YouTube, break it down and use it on LinkedIn, or get traction on LinkedIn and turn that into longer form content for YouTube. And then now that LinkedIn uses video or lets you get show love and got a whole feed for video over on LinkedIn, I can turn some of the YouTube clips into things or even new topics for LinkedIn. So they go hand in hand, very complementary. So that's what I'm rocking with. Also using LinkedIn, I landed a podcast appearance, so I'm gonna be turning that strategy up to get on more podcasts. It's not about how many people are on it; it just really give you reps on talking, right? Just really like talking about what it is that you know, how you can help, talking about your frameworks, and really solving problems for people over audio stream. So more podcasts, featuring more on other people's podcasts, and what I can talk about most without any, like, for hours, like mindfulness, productivity, and marketing, and really like personal development along with that. And so mindful marketing is really my calling card that includes productivity, right? Because you want to be able to effectively and efficiently do marketing. And you market your business, but you got to market yourself. So it's helpful for people who have high level professional careers. It's helpful for people who are starting businesses, who are in early stage, who are growing the business, right? They're in the growth phase. You got to understand how to market yourself at every level. And if you can do it in a mindful way, and mindful don't just mean like peaceful and meditating, right? In a mindful way where you're really being considerate of the people that you're trying to help, the people that work for you, the people that support you. That's when you have the best marketing. That's when you get classic campaigns like Dos Equis, because they wanted to appeal to a younger demographic. That's where you get Nike with the better, most recent campaigns about winning isn't for everybody recently, like since the Paris Olympics and things like that, because now they're getting more mindful of who are the people that they actually serve. So that's one thing, right? That's within the personal development, because it's something that I like. But I'm not trying to be a personal development coach. I'm just going to really just live out. I'm just going to do what I do every day. Business growth. So I'll talk a lot more about that. That's a part of my business. I just really love business growth. Like when you hear these stories about how a lot of founders, like going back to MFM, but they talk about the Collison installation. This is something that, I know very well coming up in Baltimore City. So the Collison installation, the Collison brothers that launched Stripe, right, the payment processing app, they were in Y Combinator, and Paul Graham said that what made them special is they would do the things that don't scale. They wasn't scared to pull up on somebody, and if the person was interested in Stripe, like, hey, where your computer at? I'll install it for you right now. They just put them right in Stripe. Every chance they get, they ride out on it. And where I'm from, that's how we kind of live. Like, if I say I can hoop, wherever I go, I got to be able to hoop. If I'm going to a new court, I got to show up and be like, well, who around here hoop? Because I need to show what my game is like. And so that's how we move. So I really resonated with that Collison installation. And that's a part of business growth, because you do the things that don't scale, you'll figure out what does scale, or those people will go scale your business for you. And that's a real lesson. And so business growth, those type of things really get me hyped. I will be tracking and measuring some things. So I'll probably do an episode on like what my success, what my hit rates is like, getting leads, getting appointments, doing presentations, all that good stuff. Doing cold outreach, which is something that's new to me, because I was marketing a juice bar and people just pulled up. And then when I got to Hopkins, it's a bunch of people that's already there. So cold outreach is new, but I ain't scared. Talking about more cold outreach. And then my actual offer, my lead magnet launch system, where I design highly converting lead magnets in various formats, whether it be PDF guides, online assessments, email marketing courses, like email trainings, right? So all of those things I am highly proficient at, and I've been offering and helping other businesses out, like my client now. And then a mindful balance, right? How to take care of yourself as you're building a business. So how I'm taking care of myself now, the apps that I'm using, and all of those good things. Like, for example, I have this nifty little gadget here. This is a Pomodoro timer, so it is for 50 minutes, 5 minutes, 25 minutes, and 10 minutes. And this helps me track my time better, so it put me in flow, because I know if I'm working for a certain amount of time, I just get in the flow and I just stay focused on that. Don't let myself get so distracted. So those are some things that I'm incorporating into my personal brand, right? Personal brand is not just about what kind of shirt you got on your back, right? It's really about the content and the value you can offer to help people. Now, to help you with your personal brand, because why would I just talk about mine and not want to help you with yours? Define what it's like for it to be you pushed out. Like, I know I'm always, when we talking about health stuff, I'm always gonna, like 70% of my conversation in life is about business, right? And and just like mindfulness, like just being able to balance your mind and body, right? You might not have a work-life balance. That's not something that I necessarily believe in, but you can always balance your work and your health. You gotta take care of yourself. So click the link in the description. You can get the prompts that help you figure out what it is for you to be you pushed out, right? We all talk about, or you've heard about probably SMART goals. So you got to set some SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, trackable, all that, right? That would really be helpful with building your personal brand, because you can always just like accentuate some things and do some stuff to make yourself seem or look cool. But the truth is, you need to have a direction. You need to have a destination so you can know what direction you're going in. And that's what SMART goals are about. Another thing you can do, not the last thing, keep everything as simple as possible, right? You may have heard about the midwit meme. I heard a lot about it. I've seen it and didn't know what it was. But on Twitter it went crazy. It's still going crazy. Where on one end you got somebody like an ogre and dumb, and they get to the result in the simplest way possible. On the opposite end, you had the person that's like a Jedi master who gets to the same result through Jedi wisdom. And then you got the person in the middle who thinks that they're going to get to the result by overcomplicating and add all these goofy ass steps. And that's not really what it's all about. So, the ogre and the Jedi both do the same thing. To keep it as simple as possible. That's why I did stuff like, I'm only going to focus on, they say you only focus on one platform, but I like long form and I prefer to just talk. But I know if most of my clients is going to be over on LinkedIn, I need to be, or my potential clients, then I need to be over there. So I streamlined it. I don't worry about Instagram. I tried Twitter. I don't worry about Twitter anymore. I don't do TikTok. I have a page. I don't use it. I only focus on these two things in conjunction, right? And I use them in tandem. And whatever the content is I make on one, I repurpose it or break it down and make it applicable to the other platform, and that's it. Right? Just make things simple. Now here's the last thing. Put it in your calendar. Put it in your planner. When I had the most success in my life, I had a full planner for building out my business plan for Good Parting Company. This year, I have a full planner for building out Green Book Digital. So I have this planner, and because this is a full focus planner. I ain't holding nothing back, but full focus. If you want to collaborate with your boy, if you want to do some affiliate situation, I use this full focus planner. It's great. You can really go through your annual goals, quarterly goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, and then do your daily breakdown, right? So all of those things. Put it in your calendar, put it in the planner, and get to it. Now that we got through all of that, the last thing I'll say is never going to hurt you to invest more in yourself. Invest more in yourself, whether that be through books, through courses, through fitness, through understanding your relationships better. You got to invest more in yourself and acknowledge the things that you are not good at. I understand what things that I'm not good at, where I don't have the greatest relationships within myself and with others. And so I work on those things. I don't let them weigh me down, but just be self-aware. But it's never going to help you to, it never hurts you to invest in yourself. And so I just gave you the actual prompts that I'm going to use to grow my six-figure business this year and invest in my personal brand. You can do the same, and I help you out with some personal branding playbook prompts. You can get it at the link in the description. Just give your boy a like, a share, or a comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will check you out in the next video.